As we inch ever closer to the NFL offseason, we are approaching peak BS season. A lot of reports, a lot of rumors. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. And of course, when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings, the number one thing that people are going to talk about is the state of the quarterback position. And that all does start with Kirk Cousins. And today, we did get the first little slice of rumor mill drama as it comes to Kirk Cousins and his future with the Vikings. According to a report from veteran columnist of the St. Paul Pioneer Press, Charlie Walters, the buzz now is that it will take $90 million guaranteed for 2 years, despite that he's not fully recovered from his Achilles surgery in November, to sign free agent quarterback Kirk Cousins. And he goes on to say, if that's the case, he certainly won't get that from the Minnesota Vikings. Now, obviously, when it comes to Kirk Cousins, the biggest thing is there is the rumor that about the quote unquote hometown discount, right? As it comes to Kirk Cousins staying with the Minnesota Vikings. And a lot of people have different interpretations of what necessarily the hometown discount means. So I don't know, man, but I look at that number and I agree with him. The Minnesota Vikings will not pay that for Kirk Cousins.
It would be $45 million a year for 2 years, completely guaranteed. And I'd have to say a big NO to that. And to your point with the whole the hometown discount or whatever, $45 million is not a discount for a 36-year-old quarterback coming off a season-ending Achilles injury. So, I mean, I don't think it is at all. And on top of that, not just that, like in my mind, when you're talking as a fan, you know, that is kind of like in between. Like if you're going to keep Kirk Cousins, I don't want to see more than 30 million. And that's a hometown discount for sure. And probably almost too much of that. I think a lot of fans like me are probably even asking a little bit too much than what I would expect Kirk Cousins to do. And I wouldn't even blame Kirk Cousins to go somewhere else where he might be able to get paid 40 to 45 million. But I would say, like, if I'm Kirk Cousins and I'm willing to take a hometown discount, it probably would be more around like 35 million a year and not 45 million a year. Because I think 45 million 2 years, no. I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't even want 30 million a year. I'm just ready to kind of move on and grab a quarterback of the future. And we're kind of looking at Kirk Cousins as this bridge quarterback. So if those rumors are true, we're not going to pay a bridge quarterback $45 million a year.
Right. And as you said, rumor. That's the biggest word here. None of this is confirmed. It's all rumor, all speculation, which at this point in the NFL season / offseason is exactly what you get. And whether or not you believe the rumor or whether or not you don't believe the rumor all comes down to you as a person, and not you specifically, but anybody out there with that reading that report, whether or not you want Kirk Cousins here or don't. If you want him gone, you're taking it 100% on fact. Like, here we go. He wants this money. Get rid of him. If you're somebody that wants to keep Kirk Cousins around, you're like, it's all rumor. He hasn't said that himself, right? But this came from somewhere.
It came from the Pioneer Press. I mean, he's a legit source, but I've heard there's been interesting, like, he hasn't always been right on his
but the biggest thing is, like, this came from somewhere. Someone said it, and then, I mean, there always is, and I credit Purple for the win for saying this. When it comes to rumors and leaks, it always comes from one party, and there's a reason for everything to be put out into the media. So who really knows at this point who's pushing what buttons or who's putting this information out there? But at this point, you do got to remember it is all speculation, and I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I think there will be a team out there that will pay Kirk Cousins $40 million a year. I really, really do. I think the line for Kirk, I think he is looking at Daniel Jones, where I do think Kirk Cousins deserves to be paid more than Daniel Jones, even at 36, even coming off an Achilles injury, because I think he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones is. And I mean, I think he personally outplayed him in that playoff game, barring 4th and 8. It is what it is. But I think he outplayed him in that playoff game, and I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback. So if I'm Kirk, I am looking at that $40 million that Daniel Jones is making and thinking, I am worth more money than Daniel Jones. So to him, maybe a discount is, I'll take Daniel Jones money, right? Yeah. So I don't know. And the thing is, if the Vikings did decide to bring back Kirk Cousins for that amount, which I think even me, who is more neutral on Kirk than anti-Kirk, I think it's too much, A. And B, if you bring him back at that rate, if you're Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, you need to compete this year. Like, if you bring him back for $45 million, that means this year you are going for it. You're going for everything, because you don't bring back a quarterback at that age, coming off an injury, for that much money, unless your plan is to win right now. So, and I think, honestly, if they do decide to go the other route and they save the money, they take that $28 million up front from the Kirk money from Kirk's dead money and draft their quarterback, I think in that regard, they're going to buy themselves a couple more seasons to where if they bring Kirk back for that much money and we absolutely suck this year and we win 3 games, I think their jobs are very much in question at the end of that season. So I just, if that's the money, if that's what Kirk Cousins is asking, I think just for the sheer fact of these guys' jobs could be on the line if they don't win. Because if I'm sitting there and I'm the Wilfs and they're like, if you want to pay him that much money, that means that you think this team can win this year for that amount. So
yeah,
because if you were to take 30 million, if 2 years, 60 million, then at least that's reasonable to where it's like, A, yes, you can compete, but also B, you're not sinking in like top 5 quarterback money into a guy who you eventually plan on moving on from in a couple years. So
right.
I think the 40, when I saw that number, my first instinct was, okay, if that's the money he's asking for and this is legit, then I 100% am fine with just being like, hey man, we'll put this offer on the table, 2 years, 60 million. If you don't like it, that's fine. We're going to look to, because like no matter what, this team needs to look towards the future. There needs to be a plan in place. So if that's what he's asking, Kirk, I love you. I really do, but I'm out at $45 million. I'm out. Like I said, I'm out at 40. I'm kind of where you are. If we sign him for 2 years, 70 million, 35 a year, I'd be like, okay. Cause at least again, you're not paying him top 5, 7-ish quarterback money. You're paying him. That is, to me, that is a little bit of a discount and you can still plan for the future. But if you sign him for 45 million, you're shooting for it all this year. And that's going to be tough to do with all the holes that are left on this roster. So in my mind, again, until this is actually proven 100% confirmed, I'm not going to be out there bashing Kirk saying, oh, all Kirk wants is the bag. Because you know the anti-Kirk crowd, that's what they're running with.
Right.
And I again, until we hear it directly from him or we see that contract signed with a different team, I'm not going to 100% believe it yet. But on the other end, I wouldn't doubt it either. So I don't know.
And I would say just from, if you look at this team from like Quezzy's perspective, there's 2 things here. And one is like, to me, I think the writing is on the wall that the Vikings want to grab a quarterback of the future. And it's the reason why I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to stick around personally, because I thought he would ask for more than 30 million. And I think Quezzy really shouldn't do less than 30 million. And I literally made a whole video on that. And you should click that right above here. But besides that, like, so that's like the first thing. The second thing is you just got to think of, does Quezzy really think we have a great chance of, if Kirk comes back, we have a great chance of going to the Super Bowl next year? I can't believe, I know there's fans that think they could, and there's fans that think if Kirk Cousins never got hurt, we would went deep into playoffs, all this stuff. He's like, yeah, he's never proved that in his entire career yet that would happen. And he got injured when we were 3-4. So to me, it's hard to believe that was going to happen. I think we would have made playoffs, whatever. Who knows what would that happen? But if I'm Quezzy, I'm not convinced that bringing Kirk Cousins back will do that. And paying him 45 million when you're trying to play Justin Jefferson that money, where you're not going to be able to play Danielle Hunter for sure. So now you lost your best defensive player, and you think that you're going to be able to, come up with enough money going into next, or enough talent to go in to next year, and even having higher expectations to actually go win a Super Bowl, especially if you're going to use your 1st round pick on a quarterback, which I think we will, and you think we will. But if you spend 45 million on Kirk, it's harder to believe that you're going to do that. So I just think from Quezzy's standpoint, and it's nothing against Kirk. Kirk can do whatever he wants. I think he probably is deserve the money. I think that's a little steep coming off an Achilles season-ending injury at his age, probably, but I knew people would pay for him, so I don't blame him at all. And I also really don't blame Quezzy for wanting to pay a quarterback less with the way he thinks that this team is going to head moving forward here. So ultimately, I just, if that is true and he wants 45 million a year, it's just a no-brainer. And I don't think Quezzy's even gonna he's not even gonna think about it. That's gonna be too much money. I think he is more worried about our future, and I think that's the direction that will ultimately go. But
exactly, and like I said, and I think we're kind of on the same page here. It comes down to basically if you bring him in again for $45 million a year, like your jobs are on the line in 2024 and you need to make something happen. That is a lot of money to sink in the position. And if you draft a guy, you're going to buy yourself at least 2 more seasons. So we want to hear your guys' thoughts though. A, do you believe the rumors? And B, would you pay Kirk Cousins $45 million a year? Let us know. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time right here on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikes.